So the West Indies openers looked unperturbed in their response to New Zealand's first innings 519 for 7 declared at stumps on day 2 of the first test at Seddon Park in Hamilton. Kane Williamson registered a career best 251 in the New Zealand innings before John Campbell and Craig Brathwaite ensured the Windies would start day 3 with all 10 wickets intact. Here's Ricardo Chambers with a day 2 recap.
A tough opening day for the West Indies, but they had the perfect start to day 2. The dangerous Ross Taylor removed for 38.
Has that gone into the ground? Oh, he's picked the gap, and there it is.
Kane Williamson was still there and quickly reached his century.
New Zealand's little maestro.
The Windies bowlers hitting better lengths early on day 2, and it bore fruit for Kemar Roach.
That is brilliant in the end.
2 wickets before lunch and 2 after as well. Tom Blundell first falling to Shannon Gabriel for 14 after a 72-run 5th wicket stand with Williamson. Williamson remaining unbothered as he raced to another milestone.
He finds the gap and it will run away. What a way to bring up his 3rd double century.
Roach got the session's 2nd wicket. Mitchell Santner edging to hold her at slip for 9.
Oh, there we go.
The Kiwi captain then went on the attack, survived a caught behind off a Roach no ball, brought up his highest test score, went to tee and back before Alzarri Joseph finally ended his 412 ball stay at the crease. New Zealand declaring shortly after Kyle Jamieson's maiden half-century, 519 for 7. Gabriel 3 for 89 and Roach 3 for 114, ending pick of the Windies bowlers.
It's played terrifically.
In reply, the openers were for the most part cautious, but John Campbell did show some class.
It's about that, and it had the class as well.
He let loose for a 6 as well, ending the day on 22 from 68 balls. Craig Brathwaite finishing on 20 from 89. The Windies 49 without loss from 26 overs, 270 away from avoiding the follow-on, with injury concerns surrounding D.M. Bravo and Shane Dowrich.
Wasn't the most elegant of off drives, but it was a...
Well, Kane Williamson and the West Indies fast bowler Kemar Roach both spoke to reporters at the end of day 2. The 30-year-old Williamson expressing confidence his bowlers can put the West Indies under enough pressure to get them out twice and win this test match.
I think there's still enough bounce there and some swing as well, that if we can make sure we build pressure and hit the right areas for long periods, then I do think there's enough there. But we know the West Indies have come off some test cricket. They've got a number of experienced batters in their side, so it's certainly not going to be easy, but it's important we focus on what we can control and make sure we bring a lot of energy coming into tomorrow.
The single sort of thorn in the side for you guys now, otherwise, you picked up wickets at the other end. Did you feel as a group you bowled pretty well today on that track?
Yeah, I think we bowled pretty well. Take away Kane's innings, I thought we were in at other batsmen. Didn't let other batsmen settle us long. So I think Kane obviously was the main person for them, and they said kudos to him. Fantastic innings, one of the best I've seen. So is this some knowledge you take forward to the next game? Obviously, we look at his batting in his first innings and obviously try to find ways of getting him out in the second innings. So, yeah, you're up for a battle against him, surely, so it's going to be a good contest.
Yeah, Kemar Roach, who lost his dad this week, talking there just after you heard from Kane Williamson, the New Zealand captain. We are joined by international cricket commentator now Fazir Mohammed to discuss the state of this first test match. Faz, I'm not sure if you had covered that Cleaker under-15 tournament back in St. Kitts and Trinidad and Tobago back in 2008 when John Campbell and Craig Brathwaite, top of the order, propelled the West Indies to that championship title over Pakistan and Bangladesh and some other teams. Great to see them 12 years after holding up the West Indies top order.
Indeed, and it's a good start, a very good start. I didn't see that in 2008, but I would be delighted if they could continue this good work in just a few minutes' time when play gets underway on the 3rd day, because as we all know only too well, one of the challenges of Test cricket is that every new day brings a new challenge. The momentum might be with you, the form might be with you, things might be going well at the end of day 2, but day 3 is a new day. So the pitch would have worn a bit, it might be a bit drier. We've noticed how quickly it's changed from one that was indiscernible from the outfield on the first day to a bit drier on day 2. Let's see what happens on day 3. And I think, as Kane Williamson correctly said when we heard those comments, he will back his bowlers to take 20 wickets over the next 3 days. And that's how they'll be looking at it.
Yeah, and Faz, does John Campbell take a little bit more credit than Craig Brathwaite has for the staunch attitude in the evening? Because what we saw was typical Craig Brathwaite. What we saw was a John Campbell playing a restrained innings and doing what the team needs for him to do, which is based on what we saw out of his natural playing style.
I think he takes a lot of credit because, quite correctly, I think there were a lot of questions being asked, including questions by myself, as to his place in the team, that his performances over the last couple of test matches didn't really warrant him being in the final 11 and probably not even in the squad. But he's responded, and that's all you could ask for. And I think that's what you want when you talk about being a West Indies fan or someone trying to observe it from a neutral perspective. You want to see these players learning and developing. It's just not good enough at this level of the game or at any sport to say, this is my game and this is the way I play. The measure of a quality performer, male, female, or whatever level or whatever type of sport you're talking about, at the elite level, you should be able to adapt. And now the challenge is for him to continue in that vein on day 3, maybe a bit more positive, maybe looking to put some pressure on the bowlers, but you're quite right. I think if you had asked the vast majority of West Indies fans, certainly me, I would have really questioned whether he could have survived 26 overs on the second evening.
Faz, when I heard about the injuries of Darren Bravo and of course Shane Dowrich, the first thing I said is, oh no, not now, because Bravo, based on the warm-up matches, seems to be in brilliant form. And of course, if we are to do anything good, we need centuries, of course, from our batsmen. What do you think the impact of these injuries will be to our team?
Well, even before the actual impact of the injury, the mere fact that he was off the field for such a long period of time, all of day 2 basically, means, as we understand it, he won't be able to bat until number 7. So even before he gets to the crease, the West Indies will have to cope with a situation where he would normally be occupying 1 down, 2 down in the top order. So that is going to be a factor. And if he comes to the crease with not too many runs on the board and 5 wickets down already, then it'll make his task that much more difficult. If he has a fantastic platform, if he doesn't appear all day this evening, our time, that would be brilliant, because it would mean the top order, with him being absent, would have done a fantastic job in resisting New Zealand's bowling attack. But you're right, as far as Darren Bravo and that injury, whether it limits his movement, limits his mobility, makes him more vulnerable to an LBW decision, that sort of thing, that is some way off at this point. And we'll certainly have to wait and see if the injury heals, if it's going to be a factor for his availability in the second test match. Shane Dowrich as well wasn't on the field. Shamar Brooks did duty behind the stumps quite competently. I felt the way he performed behind the stumps. So there are a couple of injury concerns, but you're right. From a batting point of view, the main concern is Bravo.
What did you think about bowling? Of course, Kemar Roach and Shannon Gabriel did damage for us with 3 wickets each. Of course, not good enough.
Overall, not good enough, but I would say credit to Kemar Roach and Shannon Gabriel especially, because they really worked extremely hard. And there were some passages of play during the course of the first and second days where you saw, even as Kane Williamson on the way to compiling that excellent 251, he was in a real duel with Kemar Roach especially. And you saw that very healthy respect that they have for one another. You even saw that before the match got underway, when there was that embrace from Kane Williamson with Roach, consolation for the fact that he had lost his father and so on. And then you would see the nod and the smile when he was beaten by a beautiful delivery. And it's almost as if Kemar Roach wanted to applaud when he got to his 100 and got to his double 100. And even after he was out, you could see the camaraderie there, which is good because they're very competitive. They're not giving anything away. But there is that feeling of understanding that these are top-class sportsmen. And I think the bowlers, certainly Gabriel and Roach, tried their very best. They didn't have much luck, and indeed Roach didn't help his cause with that no ball when he could have had Williamson just a few more runs before he got out. But at the end of it all, I thought the other bowlers lacked the effectiveness. Holder, as always, will be very miserly. He's not going to give away a lot of runs, but he didn't really look particularly threatening. And Alzarri Joseph just seemed to be out of sorts. And against someone like Kane Williamson, who is anchoring the innings, you really needed everyone to be firing on all cylinders.
And Roach recognized that in his interview. He said, this was one of the best he has seen, the best knocks.
Yeah, and I think we're all waiting to find out that Kane Williamson, somewhere under his house, he has about 14 bodies of people he's killed, basically, because he can't be that good, either as a batsman or as a person, because everything about him seems to exude that greater appreciation of where he is in the world as captain of New Zealand, as their premier batsman, doing what is required, being the fulcrum of his team's innings, showing compassion for the opposition. He was very, very adamant that they support the Black Lives Matter movement, which is in stark contrast to England and Australia and Pakistan and India and so many other nations. And as I said, Kane Williamson can't be that good. We need to find out some dark secrets.
Fazir, let's look at the West Indies bowling. I mean, they toiled. And I don't like to watch West Indies in the field. I like to watch them when they're batting. I just can't deal with the fact that, all those boundaries being hit all the time. Let's look a little bit about Alzarri Joseph. You talked about him earlier. Some years ago when England came here, when we won that series 2-1, it was thought that he was almost like the weak link. And then when we went to England, they said he's almost like the X factor. Is he really a weak link now? Is it time for West Indies to look? I know he had some issues with his back over the years. He has been in and out of the team because of that very reason, the injuries that he has been going through. Is it time for West Indies to take a serious look at that position? Because, West Indies can't continue to toil the way they have been toiling.
Well, I agree with you. I can't see Alzarri Joseph at this stage being considered a certainty for a West Indies 11. And you talk about that victory some years ago. It seems a long time ago, doesn't it? It was just last year that we beat England in the Caribbean early 2019. But I suppose COVID and 2020 has taken such a toll on us that it feels like it's 5 years away. So much has happened since that time. But when he played then, in fairness to him, he took vital wickets. He took Joe Root on at least a couple of occasions, didn't play the third test match because of the death of his mother during the second test match in Antigua. And I thought he had made real progress during those couple of test matches. Since then, again, he's gone off the boil, as tends to be the situation for him. And you've got Shimar Holder waiting in the wings. You've got Jaden Seals as another option, although he's not part of the test squad. You've got some other options. So I would think that the selectors, certainly, I would be very surprised if they are thinking that when they're penciling in their bowling lineup, that Alzarri Joseph is an automatic selection. Because at this point, he's still got some work to do to develop that level of consistency. And unless he gets a chance to bowl in a second innings, if there is a second innings for New Zealand and he comes up trumps, he could be in jeopardy to lose his place in the second test match.
Yeah, on that point, as we look at some of the fringe players, we're staying in New Zealand, but with the West Indies A team that's taking on New Zealand A in a 4-day unofficial test match. And of course, they had the second day on Thursday night our time as well, this match being played in Maunganui. New Zealand A resuming their first innings at 10 without loss, reached 321 for 3 at stumps. A huge total there by the New Zealand A team, of course responding to the West Indies A team's 322. Centuries for the informed Glenn Phillips, 136, and Tim Seifert, 111. And look who got among the wickets. Nicholas Pooran, 1 for 3. Raymond Reefer, consistent, 1 for 34. Hayden Walsh, the leg spinner, picking up 1 for 47. They are the wicket takers so far for West Indies A. West Indies A, as we said, had made 322 on day one. The 26-year-old Romario Shepherd scoring 133. So I was pointing out yesterday, Faz, that it is good for this West Indies A team to be in action simultaneously with the first 11 and getting themselves some valuable practice against a solid New Zealand A team. Your thoughts on the match so far, what you've seen?
Well, once again, the bowling is being shown up, Lance.
Yes.
And this is the reality. The fact that Nicholas Pooran has 1 for 3 tells you that he came on as a part-timer and picked up a wicket. Raymond Reefer 1 for 34 tells you that, again, that he didn't have a tremendous amount of bowling to do, so that the frontline bowlers would have struggled. And yes, we will have to probably assess the nature of the pitch and all those other elements to it as to how that would have impacted on that excellent batting effort of New Zealand A. But again, you know, we've talked about over the last couple of years the bowlers having come up trumps against England in the Caribbean, in that Test match victory in Southampton against England as well. And they just seem to be struggling right now, whether it has to do with the whole COVID situation, that they haven't really been able to get the workouts that they should. But just at this point, they just seem generally ineffective, whether we're talking about the Test team level, now the A team level. So that's a worry. That's a worry, but at least they're getting a workout. They're getting a workout over 4 days against quality opposition with 4 more days to come, concurrent with the second Test match.
I'm happy you said that though, Faz, because I mean, the West Indies team, they have been inactive for quite some while, as you have alluded to earlier. And they are playing away in New Zealand. Of course, it shows that the New Zealanders, their cricket is improving. They are forcing world cricket once more. And the A team, they are scoring so many centuries there. But looking at our bowling, as you talked about, toil, that's a new word now, a buzzword now. Shepherd, he made 133 in the first innings. He has about 14 overs, yet to pick up a wicket. Is he, you would have known him, is he a bowling all-rounder? That's where I know it is well, I've never seen him as an all-rounder. Now that he has scored 133, Mariah and Lance is calling him an all-rounder now. Have you ever seen him as an all-rounder, Faz?
No, I never did. I saw him primarily as a bowler with some genuine pace. I saw him in the A-team series against India in Trinidad and Tobago last year. And he looked to have some serious attributes with his bulk and his size and the pace that he would be able to generate. Now he gets 100 on the opening day of the match, so maybe there is some legitimate consideration for him to have all-rounder aspirations and capabilities. But if you're going to be an all-rounder, you've got to get wickets as well. And that's why it's so difficult. Let's not make no bones about it. The first-class game, the Test game, is a really taxing sort of format, especially in an environment where so many people now are attuned mentally as much as anything else to the T20 format, whether it's international cricket, whether it's franchise cricket, everything seems to be in 3.5 hours. Now in the first class game, you've got to be on the field almost for 7 days. 7 hours over a 4-day period, and you've got to be able to have that consistency and effectiveness as well. Containment is not good enough in the first class game, and again, that might be a consideration, because if you've grown up in the shorter formats of the game and you bowl 10 overs for 40 runs or 4 overs for 24 runs, you're a match winner. In the first class game, that counts for nothing. In the Test game, that counts for nothing unless you could get wickets added on to that, and that might be a consideration now for us.
All right, Lance, Faz, sorry, one last quick question going back to the Test match tonight. I mean, West Indies, this is the start of day 3, and we thought that day 2 and 3 would be 2 best batting surfaces that they would be experiencing in this Test. By the 4th day and the 5th day, then the pitch started misbehaving and so on. What are your expectations tonight for West Indies' performance? Do you think they're going to bat out today going into day 4, and can they really save this Test match?
Well, first of all, I'm honored that you would misrecognize me as Lance Whitaker. I really feel flattered.
I caught up myself pretty quickly there, Faz.
Good one.
No, I'll take that. I'll take that. That's not an error. I'll take that however it goes. But the balance of power and the track record tells us that the West Indies are going to struggle to save this Test match unless there is rain. But again, there is always an opportunity to do something different. There's always an opportunity to defy the odds. The challenge will be, even if it's a flat pitch, it's that scoreboard pressure, the feeling that, you know, the runs aren't coming, the bowling is tight, just a bit of seam movement, and you've got an outside edge. 1 wicket can bring 2, can bring 3, can bring 4 sometimes in the case of West Indies cricket. So you can be 282 for 1, as we found out famously at Hamilton in 1999-2000, and still lose the match by 9 wickets on the 4th day. So I would say that on the balance of things, I think the West Indies are going to be struggling for the remaining 3 days of this match. And New Zealand are definitely the favourites as I see it. But as I said before, even previewing this Test match, I'll be happy to be proven wrong with John Campbell getting a double 100.
Faz, as usual, great talking to you. We wish you a solid weekend and a good Liverpool result on the weekend as well.
We'll see how that goes.
He's giving up on them.
I've given up.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the Lanka Premier League will continue on the channel this Saturday with two matches. First up at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock Eastern Caribbean time. Catch the Dambulla Viking. They'll be up against the Gold Gladiators live on SportsMax 2. Then the premiere of the match between Andre Russell's Colombo Kings and the Candy Tuskers at 4 o'clock Eastern Caribbean time in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in Jamaica. The Colombo Kings now in second position after Andre Russell's 1 for 12 and 32 off 20 balls helped them to a 6-wicket win over the leaders Jaffna Stallions with Johnson Charles earlier on Friday.
Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. We continue with cricket. Cricket West Indies has been honoured with the Christopher Martin Jenkins Spirit of the Game Award. The award was created in 2013 by the influential Marylebone Cricket Club, MCC, in collaboration with the BBC in memory of the late former BBC cricket broadcaster and MCC President Christopher Martin Jenkins. In the words of the award creators, Martin Jenkins, referred to as CMJ by his friends and colleagues, was a man passionate about promoting the spirit of the game. This is what the MCC and BBC said about the West Indies. For their courage in sending both their men's and women's teams in tour England in 2020, a year when the COVID-19 pandemic has caused such major disruption not only to the international cricketing calendar, but to everyday life. The president and CEO of the West Indies Players Association, Wavell Hines, has reacted to the announcement. He says, "We congratulate CWI on demonstrating and confirming our love and respect as a people for the great game of cricket and for humanity." The West Indies senior men's team were involved in the first international cricket match amid the COVID-19 pandemic when they travelled to the UK to play England in 3 tests in July. The West Indies women then travelled to England to play the host in a 5-match T20 international series in September. Both series were played in a biosecure bubble, creating the template for other franchise and international cricket tournaments. All right, so Lance and Wayne, of course, it's something we should be proud about, of course. It just recognizes that our West Indies are real champions, championing the cause despite COVID-19 pandemic. I think it's very brave of them.
Well, cricket has long been described as a gentleman's game, so the spirit of the game and how the game is played has always been something, the cricket purist would hold close to his or her chest. So from that perspective, the West Indies would feel honoured to know that they are upholding the spirit of cricket and what the game represents globally.
All right, so joining us now is the CEO of Cricket West Indies, Johnny Grave. Johnny, welcome to the SportsMax Zone.
Good evening.
All right, so we're going to start by talking about this Spirit of the Game award. How much does it mean to you that we were awarded this? Of course, our cricketers being very brave and playing cricket despite the pandemic.
Yeah, look, I think being honest, we would have rather won than retained the Wisden Trophy, but it is great that we've been recognised because it was an enormous effort by our players and team management unit at the time to go to England at the height of the pandemic in the UK. We were the first, trailblazing team to do that. But we're guided now by this cricket first philosophy, and it was certainly in keeping with that and the spirit of cricket, as the MCC referred to it, that we undertook the obligation to tour England, and we went through enormous planning, not just ourselves but with the Players Association, WEPA, to pour through pages and pages of medical plans and protocols that it was the first time it was happening, not just in cricket but in sport. So we were pioneers with ECB to go back. We were brilliantly looked after by Lancashire, Hampshire, and in the case of the West Indies women's team, Derbyshire. The players were felt very, very safe, and it was great that we were able to kickstart world cricket and, as you say, lead the way for other tournaments. And we took those learnings into the Caribbean Premier League in Trinidad, and we've now had 4 biosecure bubbles across our men's, women's, and regional teams, and are yet to have any positive tests at all within those biosecure environments. So it really is testament to the medical expertise within the Caribbean and within Cricket West Indies that we've been able to get cricket back and play so much under what has been very, very unusual circumstances.
Right, because Johnny, let me just jump in here a little bit there, Johnny. You know, I mean, I agree with you that we would much rather celebrate in winning the series rather than being, you know, this trophy being, this honor or award being bestowed on us. Because do you know, in negotiations, this is irony, because we had many meetings with our doctors and representatives going through all the intricacies of, you know, ensuring that the tour would go on and all the players, everyone would be safe. At no stage, you know, in negotiations and we're looking through the problems and the bubble, that we thought that it was important for us to ensure that we have the spirit of the game or anything like that, into ensuring a cricket start. It was all about the security of the players, and of course West Indies going there and beating England again, because we had beaten them 2-1 in the West Indies. So for them to be honouring us for the spirit of the game and so on, I just find that to be a little strange, don't you think?
Well, I still think it's an enormous honour to be awarded. It's a very prestigious award, and as you say, the spirit of cricket is something that, you know, all players and all administrators and fans, you know, rings true. It is, as Lance said, it's the gentleman's game, and you know, the spirit of cricket, the way in which it's played, the values that the game have that can do so much to inspire young people and put them on a path is really, really important. And look, I know it continues to be something that guides us, as I said, in our cricket first philosophy. But when it comes to touring, as you say, Wayne, you know, the number one thing, and remains to be the number one thing, whether we're hosting tournaments or we're going abroad, is the safety and security of our players and staff, and that continues to be the number one. But as you know, that the effects of the pandemic had a devastating effect on our revenues. You know, the England tour still cost us money and didn't provide us any opportunities to get revenue. So it would have been quite an easy decision to find a reason not to go, and there certainly would have been many. So I think the fact that we had a positive attitude, that we wanted, if we could, to get the tour on once it was safe to do so, has been recognised by the MCC and BBC, and you know, we're enormously you know, grateful and proud that our efforts have been recognised in this way.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that, you know, I personally am not appreciative of the award. I mean, WIPA issued a statement congratulating the Cricket West Indies and the team for the award. I'm just saying that, you know, during our negotiations, at no stage we talked about the spirit of the game, or that's one of the reasons that motivate us to go. It was always about, you know, West Indies defending the Sir Frank Royal Trophy and be secure and be safe there. So I'm just saying, I found it a little strange that we would go and out of that, you know, and I joke around a lot and so on, but out of that, you know, we're being awarded, as you say, the prestigious award. It's just that I'm not appreciative of it. I just find it a little surprising that we would be given an award for that because we decided to tour.
So were you surprised, or you found it strange, Wayne, that last year when New Zealand won the CMJ award because of how graciously they accepted the World Cup loss in a sensational, in many ways contentious manner, that something was wrong with how New Zealand accepted it?
Not saying wrong.
You're
not saying... These tournaments have fair play awards and all of that. But I don't go there to win the fair play award. I go there to win the World Cup.
I understand what Wayne is saying. You know, obviously getting the award is one thing, but he would just rather see us bring home a trophy.
But Johnny said that was the first thing Johnny Graves said, that obviously he would have wanted to see the Wisden Trophy come back to the Caribbean. But Johnny, very, very quickly, we see that Dr. Man Singh and another CWI representative had gone to Bangladesh to look at to do a recce, to, you know, make sure things would be all right for a future West Indies tour there. I guess because of travel reasons and so on. We didn't have a similar trip to England, did we? Nor did we have one for New Zealand?
No, we didn't. I think the timings around the UK, and obviously the fact then there wasn't international travel, made that very, very difficult. And obviously the New Zealand situation on the ground is much more straightforward. You know, New Zealand is pretty much COVID-free.
Yes.
Obviously in Bangladesh it's a very different situation. And again, you know, we've got this guiding principle that we will not go anywhere where the safety and security of our players or team management, where there's any risk at all. And so we felt it was most prudent, most professional to send the very experienced Dr. Man Singh, who's not only on our medical panel, but also on the ICC medical panel, along with our head of security, Paul Slow, to go to Bangladesh to see their biosecure bubble, not just in terms of how it would operate in principle, but with this 2020 tournament taking place in Dakar at the moment, they can actually see it in a live situation. So Dr. Mansingh and Paul Slow have seen every hospital, every hotel, every training venue and stadium that the team would be playing in, and have poured through and walked through all those plans and protocols. So they're somewhere between Bangladesh and the Caribbean at the moment, and I can't quite remember their exact route home or timing-wise where they are, but they're going to get back in the next 24 hours to 48 hours, and I'll be speaking to them on Monday once I receive their reports. And we've got a board call on Wednesday. We've got discussions with the Players Association and the players in New Zealand all lined up. And at some point over the next week to 10 days, I expect to be able to make an announcement around that commitment we have under the Future Tours programme to be in Bangladesh in January.
Yeah. And Johnny, any further update on the restart of regional cricket in the Caribbean? We know the Super 50 is scheduled for early next year. What about the 4-day and so on? I know we had a brief discussion on it the last time you were on, but is there anything more concrete that you can tell us now regarding the resuscitation of regional cricket in the Caribbean?
Yeah, look, we've now got a calendar, day-by-day calendar approved by the Board of Directors yesterday from February all the way through to the Caribbean Premier League that's due to start around mid to late August. I would say we're cautiously optimistic. It's a hugely ambitious plan. We're talking about hosting 4 international men's teams, Sri Lanka in March, South Africa, a rearranged tour that should have taken place this year in June, followed immediately by Australia and immediately by Pakistan. We're also talking about hosting the Super 50 Cup in February, just with the 6 regional teams playing 1 round each, and then having a West Indies Championship in April and May, probably where we'll convene all the players into one country to play a couple of rounds, and then a second country 3 rounds. So a huge amount of cricket planned. It's ambitious, but we're cautiously optimistic that working very closely with our territorial boards and also the governments of the region, that we can get regional and international cricket back in the Caribbean and playing safely.
Johnny Grave, as usual, always a pleasure talking to you, and we anxiously await the continuation, or just monitoring the West Indies tour down under. We see that they've already lost 2 wickets on day 3, so that's not a good start for day 3. But thanks for talking to us.
Pleasure.
Yeah, 58 for 2, we're told, and John Campbell out to a rash shot. And Shamar Brooks, who was batting at number 3, is also out. So the West Indies now 58 for 2, replying to 519 for 7 declared against the Black Caps.